Hey man, I'm back at it with another one. Thank you for tuning in to the real spiel of the cleaning business. I'm your host, Joe Daddy. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. I'm your host, Marquise Page, founder of K&M Cleaning Crew, LLC, as well as the host of the real spiel of the cleaning business, where we try to give it to you raw and uncut, about what you're gonna need to excel in the cleaning business, and just any industry that you choose. I thank you for joining me on this journey as I try to scale this cleaning company from humble beginnings to a multi-million dollar a year company. Thank you again for following me on this journey. And today I've got another good one. Now, like I said, we've been going on with the series titled How to Get Cleaning Contracts. And there's just not one set way to get cleaning contracts. What I mean by that is the man on top of the mountain didn't fall there. What do you mean by that, Marquise? Well, I'm glad you asked. People look at the Elon Musk, people look at the Bill Gates, people look at the Jeff Bezos, and they're envious of their position. But people don't realize the amount of work they've put into their craft to get into that position. That's what I mean by the man on top of the mountain didn't fall there. He didn't get there by luck. They got there by hard work, dedication, and concentration of their minds, as well as a powerful team behind them. And another thing they did, they drew their line in the sand, and no matter what life threw in their way, they kept going. That's what I mean by the man on top of the mountain didn't fall there. So when you're envious of someone in a more better spot than you, just ask yourself, am I willing to put in the work to get where they are? If the answer is no, then just sit back and enjoy their position, man. But like I say, today, we're gonna go in this direction. We're gonna focus more on marketing. My last podcast, we focused on CRM and why that was important to your business. That's the basis of your business. And if you didn't catch the last podcast, I encourage you to please go back where I give you the benefits of starting a CRM for your business. But today we're going to talk about how to determine the right marketing strategy for your business. Because man, marketing, man, in this day and age, the market is so saturated, man. It used to be where you could put $1 into the market and get $5 out of it. Now you could put $1 into the market and you'll be glad to get 50 cents out of it. It's all about concentrating your forces. It's not all about who has the biggest budget in this day and age. It's about who's concentrating their forces in the right direction. Like I say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle for that quote. But this just kind of reminds me of a couple of sayings. One, my granny, Sweet Lola. Rest in peace, Sweet Lola. You gave me a lot of wisdom over the years, so I thank you for allowing me to share it with my viewers. But Sweet Lola used to say, "You can never catch one rabbit chasing three rabbits." Now what does that mean? How can you go three different directions if you're just one person? I mean, concentrate your forces. That's what I mean. I said all that to say, concentrate your forces, man. Go after one rabbit at a time. Us as entrepreneurs, we get that fire lit up under us and we try to take on the world. And you catch us 6 months later, man, you will probably be hiding under a rock somewhere like, man, what the hell did I get into? You got into entrepreneurship, man. It's a marathon. And I try to tell people that you're building something that's going to outlive you. Remember that. It's going to outlive you. You're building this for future generations. This is a tool for generational wealth. So without any further ado, let's get into it, man. Now, over the past several years, we've seen a shift in thinking about how marketing dollars are spent at professional service firms. Now, no longer is the quarterly ad spend or the we've done it every year trade show getting automatic sign off. No bueno. Not with what we've got going on in this day and age right now, man. We've got to deal with COVID-19. There's another threat of monkeypox that's right around the corner, as well as monster inflation, man. So we've got a lot to deal with. So all that just throwing money on the wall and let's just see what sticks, man, that's out of there. You have to take a more calculated approach to that. So the question asks more and more, and one you should ask about all of your spending on marketing and lead generation is, if I spend X amount of dollars on this marketing tactic, what should I expect in return? That is the golden question. That is the golden ticket if we are Willy Wonka and this is the chocolate factory, baby. Man, that's some news you can use right there, man. I'm going to repeat that again for the people that didn't hear and for the people in the back. If I spend X amount of dollars on this marketing tactic, what should I expect in return? Now, unfortunately, too much of the marketing spending in both dollars and time is still wasted in professional services firms. If you were to open up your local newspaper, magazine, you could turn on TV, you can watch on YouTube because that's how we consume our content now. Without a doubt, you would see advertisements for professional services firms, some well designed and some not so much. But all of their aim is the same, to generate awareness of a product or service. Although there is nothing wrong with using marketing to generate awareness or brand, these organizations are generating awareness among tens of thousands of readers who are not likely to be the best targets for their services. The funds to create such an ad and to run it week after week after week would surely be better spent on reaching out to the smaller, more targeted pool of, say, 1,600 prospects the firm would actually like as clients. Man, now that's a lot, man. Let me break that down, what I just said. Now years past, pretty much companies just pretty much threw money at the wall and they just saw what stick. It didn't matter what they spent as long as they got the necessary results. But now in this day and age, it's all about concentrating your forces because it's not all about who has the biggest budget. No, it's all about who has their forces concentrated the best. And like I said, that reminds me about Alexander Graham Bell saying, he says, concentrate all your thoughts upon the work at hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus. Man, that's a nugget, man. Now, let's pivot for a little bit, and we're going to come back to this. I want to talk about 10 tactical mistakes made by professional services firms that good planning can solve. Now, the first one is spending on marketing activities that don't produce return on investment, or ROI. That is so important. Or that are vanity exercises. For example, over the top graphic design and image advertising. All that pretty much saying you just spending money on stuff that looks good, but it's not bringing in the customers. It's not doing what it's designed to do. Yeah, it looks good. That's just like having a golden toilet. It's like having a golden toilet. You're like, what the hell is a golden toilet? What's the point of having a golden toilet? That's my point exactly. Like you spent all that money on a golden toilet when it can't even flush. So what's the point of having a golden toilet? I said all that to say, what's the point of spending all that money on marketing that don't produce a return? I just said all that to say that. My apologies for going a long way. I just get so passionate when I talk about this. The second thing, and this is something that I've been guilty of in the past, and I know a lot of other business owners have been guilty of in the past, holding unrealistic expectations for which marketing tactics can produce which results. Your marketing, you go into your marketing stages with a preconceived notion that, hey, I know this is gonna work best. instead of going into it with a non-biased opinion and just going in and just, hey, let me look at the data. Instead of me saying I know, let's look at the data and see what works. Number three, not implementing marketing because of inefficient decision making. Committees. I always say one person is smarter than a group of people. Why? Because he doesn't have all those factors to influence his decision. He can look at the facts and base his decision off facts. When you have a committee, there's differing opinions, and that could be a good thing. That could work with you, and that could work against you in a sense. But you have differing opinions, and let's say, for instance, your opinion is right, but you're more influenced by someone that has a better way of words. But you know your opinion is right. That's what I mean by one person is smarter than a group of people in some instances. Now, the fourth tactical mistake made by professional services are not sustaining implementation over the long term or giving up too soon. Now, that reminds me of a story of a time with me and my wife. And RIP Shay, baby, I love you. That was my heart, and that's the reason. And she motivates me to keep going. She gave me my family. But I remember a point in time where Valentine's Day, every Valentine's Day every year, she would go and make baskets and sell them. And so uh, one year, I believe this is about a year or two ago, if I'm not mistaken. But we were out and we were selling baskets. And we posted up at a nice shopping center where there was a nice crowd of people. And we knew that we could kind of gain some traffic. So we posted up, we set out our tent, and we sat there. We put our product out and we sat there. 30 minutes went by. No one came. My wife started to get a little discouraged. It was cold outside. She's like, baby, I'm gonna go ahead and sit in the car. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Someone's got to be out here just in case a customer comes by. So she sat in the car and she watched me sell. 45 minutes go by. Nothing happens. The no one even shows up. So she's like, come on, babe, let's go. Let's go. And I'm like, nah, baby, you done already drug me at the house. We gonna sell something. I don't care what it is. So finally an hour go by and the customer finally comes up. My wife gets out of the car, she's excited. She goes into her spiel about, everything that, that's in the basket, and she's excited. Unfortunately, the customer didn't buy anything, but what I always say, slow motion is better than no motion. You have to be grateful for the small things in order for the Most High to bless you with greater things. So we were grateful for that one customer to come by, and we were encouraged, and it's crazy how sales works. Once customers see one customer go by, it's like a trickle effect. So I guess people saw that one customer come by checking us out, and they started coming over, and pretty soon we had a crowd, and we sold all. I think we started with about 20 baskets, and we ended up with about two or three. And my wife was so happy, and she was just, baby, thank you for staying, thank you for believing, thank you for this. And my whole thing was, I just held a thought in my head. I held a thought in my head, and I just waited for it to happen. But just imagine if we would have packed up and went in too early, we wouldn't have saw the success that we had. Number five, relying on one tactic to do the job. That's pretty much just saying you putting all your eggs in one basket. Like, why would you do that when there's so many more ways out here? Number six, poor implementation. For example, poorly written marketing copy, poorly designed websites, or poorly targeted campaigns. All of these will lead you down a rabbit hole of wasted money. You have to know your audience. How do you know your audience, Marquise? Well, you look at your current customer list. and you start looking at different factors. Hey, how old are they? What are their race? What is their position in the company? How long have they been with the company? What's their educational background? What type of interest they like? And when you start asking yourself these kinds of questions, you start grouping together a target audience. And once you group together your target audience, now you know who you're going after. Because you can in marketing, you have to know who you're going after. You can't go into this thing blind, man, or you're going to turn into a crash dummy real quick. Number 7, dropping leads and failing to nurture leads. Man, I've been guilty of that. I'm not gonna lie. Dropping leads. You know someone wants your services, but you just have so much on your plate that you just fail to get to them in a timely manner. And Joe, just failing to nurture leads. If you listen to my last podcast, I did the importance of CRMs in a business. And the CRMs is a major factor in nurturing leads. So if you haven't already listened to my podcast and set up a CRM for yourself, I highly recommend that you do so. Number 8, not communicating value in your marketing. In marketing, we get so caught up in sales, sales, sales. I gotta make this money. I gotta make this money. I gotta make this money. Yeah, that's the end goal, but the real end goal should be helping solve a customer's problem. If you're good at solving a customer's problem, you will never go broke. I promise you that. Now, number 9, not integrating the various marketing tactics. Man, that is so important. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, man. You have to learn how to try various things to come up with the results that you need. And number 10, planning poorly for lead generation. All the steps in the process. And what that is that reminds me of a saying. A man that fails to plan plans to fail. That's all that saying is. A man that fails to plan plans to fail. Now, for the most part, spending on ads like this is a waste, as are so many ill-conceived marketing endeavors. Ill-conceived advertising campaigns are, of course, just one example of waste that sneaks into marketing plans and marketing campaigns. It's easy to waste a lot of money in website development, direct marketing, thought leadership, development. Please excuse that, man. I'm washing clothes. It's a Saturday. Hey, man, that's my drawing going off. I'm trying to be productive, man. Two things at one time. So please excuse that in the background. Public relations, and virtually any other tactic you can think of. Now, how does any company get rid of this kind of waste, whether in marketing or in other parts of the business? The company focuses on it with keen eyes and manages its business processes with inputs and outputs. All that input and output means is if I put X amount of dollars into it, how much can I expect to receive from it? That's all it is. Your marketing and lead generation efforts should be no different. Now, let's get into the real meat of this, man. Now, let's go into ways you can market to a customer. And if you've been following me on my journey, I've went about this on one of my last podcasts. The first one labeled "How to Get Cleaning Contracts." Now, these are some of the ways that I can think of on the top of my head of how you can get, of how you can market yourself to customers. Email marketing is one way. Door-to-door sales, handing out flyers door to door to every business. Mail out flyers or advertisement. Facebook ads, Google ads, paid lead platforms such as Bark, Turnover BNB, Home Advisor, Yelp, and just things of that nature. Now, let's get into how let's get into how you can determine the right marketing strategy for yourself and how you can use them all in conjunction and not just just one tactic, because you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, now the first thing that you want to do is you want to have a good target audience size. So when you cast your net, you're going after 2,000 people. And now all of this is not going to be done in one day. This is going to be done over the year, over a month, over some weeks. It just all depends on how long it takes you to gather the necessary data to get where you want to go. So let's do number one. We'll do door to door. We'll pass out flyers. Now, if the target is 2,000 people in a day, I mean 2,000 people, that's nothing. And we got 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks in the month. So we'll just say 4 weeks. 4 weeks, 7 days, that's 28 days. So we'll just deal with Monday through Friday. If you just do Monday through Friday, and if you want to pass out 2,000 flyers, that's nothing but 100 flyers a day if you do it Monday through Friday. And what you're doing is you're going door to door, you're introducing yourself to the public, you're building awareness, you're passing out your flyers, you're trying to get contact information. That's the name of the game. When you're passing out, it's not always about getting into the face of the decision maker, first and foremost. It's all about getting the contact information so that you can do a follow-up and that you can put into your CRM. Another thing you could do is if you mail out flyers, maybe you want to mail out 2,000 flyers. Maybe there's a business district close by, a warehouse district close by, a cluster of businesses close by, a shopping center close by. You want to mail out flyers, mail out 2,000 flyers with contact info and maybe a coupon with 20% off their first services. So we're going to start with those two, door to door and mail out flyers. Now that's just to build awareness. And like I say, door to door, that's just nothing but 100. You passing out 100 flyers a day, Monday through Friday. At the end of the month, you've been passed out more than 2,000 flyers. You mail out your flyers. Like I say, you're building your brand awareness, because if you have your website and you have your Facebook handle, guess what? If they're interested in your services, guess what the next thing they're going to do once they get your advertisement? They're going to go on your website and look and see, hey, what's the deal with this business? Now, once you do those elements, what you want to do is collect responses. When you go door to door and when you mail out flyers, your main thing is to find out who the decision maker is and get their contact information, whether that's their phone number or their email address, and you enter that into your CRM. Now, once you enter that into your CRM, now you can start email marketing. Hold on, Marquise. Yeah, I'm giving you some news you can use. I'm giving it to you raw and uncut. This is a strategy that you can implement, and I guarantee you'll see results. Now, you email market the people that you've collected the information from. If you went out and passed out 2,000 flyers, and we're going to get into the numbers, but I just want to give you a method for the madness. So like I said, you start off with door-to-door flyers. We done passed out 2,000 flyers. That's just 100 a day, Monday through Friday. We've mailed out flyers with contact info and maybe a 20% off, your first time services. Then you enter that into your CRM. The good thing about a CRM, it allows you to keep track of how you have already interacted with the customer so that you can know the next step with the customer. And you can also automate the process if you have your CRM in place. That is why it is so important for every business to have a CRM if you don't already. All right. Now, once we enter into our CRM, that's when we start our email marketing campaign. Now, we've already kind of introduced ourselves with the door to door and we mailed out flyers. Now, the email market is just an introduction to the decision maker. Hey, my name is Marquise Page, and I'm the business owner of K&M Cleaning Crew LLC. We service other businesses in the area, and we would love to provide you with a free quote for our services. Something as short, sweet, and simple as that. And then you follow up with a cold call. Man, you got to think you've interacted with the customer one, two, three, four different ways. A customer has to tell you no. Customers are so negative nowadays. They have to tell you no 5 times before they know that they need your services. All right, now let's get into the numbers. All right, now you can plan the desired outputs of your efforts using calculations based on what you know about your firm's typical pipeline success. Now, we're just going to assume the following. So, I hope you have your pencil and paper ready. Let's get into it. Okay. Now, you're targeting activities, and this is for each activity. So, for email marketing, you're aiming for 2,000 people. For passing out flyers, you're aiming for 2,000 people. For door to door or handing out flyers, your goal is 2,000 people. And when you enter this into your CRM, when you get their contact information, that's when you label, hey, I got this contact from mail out marketing. I got this contact from email marketing. I got this contact from door to door. So that way you know what's working best for you. Now, over the course of a year, you implement a lead generation program. This means multiple outreach efforts and campaigns, not just a single effort that yields 160 leads. I just went over the multiple campaigns and I'm not even finished with that. I still haven't even gotten to Facebook ads and Google ads. So, just off your efforts, of the 2,000 prospects, and like I say, we can say these numbers are for any of the desired marketing tools that we use, as far as door-to-door marketing, email marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, you name it. Now, that yields 160 leads, or 8% of 2,000. Okay, so we started with 2,000 prospects. Out of those 2,000 prospects, we have 160 leads generated. Now, of those 160 leads, 30% or 48 prospects are qualified. That is, they're the right company and the right person, and they have needs and they have the financial ability to buy. So you close 30% of the qualified leads, yielding 14 new clients. Therefore, 9% of your initial leads close for that example. Now, I know what you're thinking, Marquise. How the hell did you get that? Okay, we started off with 2,000 prospects. And like I said, you do this with every method to determine your close percentage for each one. The one that has the highest close percentage, that's the one that you go with. Now, out of those 2,000 prospects, we got 160 leads. Now, out of those 160 leads, not all of them are qualified leads. So we'll say 48 of them are qualified leads. And that's 30% of the 160. Now, of the 48 qualified leads, you turn 14 of those into new clients. Man, that's great, right? I mean, over the course of all of that, you've gained 14 new clients. Now, here's some other things that you may need to look at. Your client data, average revenue per client per year, retention of revenue from year to year, growth rate per retained client. Those are some good questions. It doesn't matter if your budget is 60,000, 1.6 million, or 10.6 million or more. Spending on advertising and marketing with no clear expectations of adding leads to a pipeline, such as outlined earlier, is inefficient at best and more often just crazy. Still, it happens. Spending gets a green light all the time for the wrong reasons. Now, what now your revenue retention is unique to your firm. I know I'm kind of all over the place, so please just stay with me. Now, what should the revenue retention from current clients be for a professional services firm? That all depends on the nature and type of service that you offer. You might think for an accounting firm that anything less than 90% retention would be bad, whereas for a firm that has a turnaround or workout practice, any client retention over 0% would indicate trouble. As a law firm, you may retain a client from 1 year to the next, but revenue might be 100,000 1 year when the client company buys another business, and 15,000 another year when all it needs is your review for a few contracts. Now, although your industry may have average rules of thumb, your revenue retention target should be unique to your firm. Now, what are some of the crazy reasons that spending gets a green light? We're just gonna talk about it. Now, your competitors have big spreads in trade magazines and business journals. We need to triple our advertising budget to keep up. Your competitors get mentioned in the Wall Street Journal again. And what do you think? We need a PR retainer fast. Man, that's a crazy way of just throwing money down the drain. Now, what's another? You need more leads. Let's hire a cold caller. Let's hire a big gun business developer. Let's buy search engine ads. Let's sponsor the big conference and send everyone to network and bring home some bacon. Your firm finally agrees you need to get serious about marketing. Let's start with a new tagline, a new logo, new data sheets, and a new website. All that is wasteful spending, man. What does all of this spending get you? Well, it definitely gets you more spending, that's for sure. And maybe you get other benefits too, but probably not what you could be getting if you approach building a marketing lead generation and business development engine that will work for you in the right way. Now, let's get back to our example. Now that you have an initial set of overall goals you expect to achieve through your marketing and business development activities, what would happen though if you could make incremental improvements to your conversion rates? Now, what do you mean by that? All right. So your target to lead ratio moves from 8% to 10%. Okay. Your ratio of leads to qualified opportunities moves from 30% to 35%. Now, if you notice, these are small incremental changes that will add up over time. Now, your ratio of qualified opportunities to client wins moves from 30% to 33%. And your client revenue retention moves from 60% to 65%. Now, what does that mean? Now, we're going to take those same 2,000 prospects. Now, in the last example, we had 160 prospects just marketing to those 2,000. But if we moved it from 8% of 2,000, which is 160, and we just bumped it up to 10%, those are 200 qualified leads. Okay. Now, out of those 200 qualified leads, now in the last example, we did 30% qualified for the opportunities. And what do I mean they qualified? They're the right company and the right person. They have the needs that you supply and they have the financial ability to buy. That's what I mean. So in the last example, we had we had it at I think 30%. So and that yielded us out of 160 leads, that yielded us 48 opportunities. Okay, so now we're playing with 200 leads now. And if we bump that up just 5% to a 35% qualified opportunities, guess how many opportunities we'd have? 70. Okay. Okay. So now we got 70 leads instead of 48. That's a big difference. Whoa. Now, say for instance, you still close on the last example, you closed 30% of 48, which is 14. That's great. But say for instance, in this example, you have 70 qualified opportunities and you close 23. 14 and 23, man, that's a big example. That's a big difference. Therefore, 12% of your initial leads close for this example. Your average revenue per client per year, we'll just say 150,000. Retention of revenue from year to year, 65%. Growth rate per retained client, 5%. Man, let me break that down to all the people that's confused. Like, what the hell are you talking about with all these numbers, man? You confusing the hell out of me. Let me break it down. Here's what happens. You win 23 clients instead of 14. Revenue in the first year is now just under 3.5 million, or about 1.4 million higher than in example one. The 4-year revenue stream for 1 year of lead generation activities is now 8.5 million, or 3.7 million higher than before. Results have moved up quite a bit as a result of proactive choices you've made to improve how many leads you generate. How many of those leads become qualified opportunities? How often you close new business that's in your pipeline? And how well you do getting those clients to come back for more year after year? You want to have a return customer. So the job of the marketing department should help local offices understand and identify the importance of targeted marketing. Our offices are located in large metropolitan areas. The population is often in the millions, yet our target markets, our collective network of groups and individuals, may only be a few hundred individuals. What people think of as public visibility isn't necessarily what we need to achieve in professional services. Creating high visibility among our targets requires a different set of tactics. Now, what are some of the things you could have increased? Your overall target pool, which assuming the targets are the same quality as the original set, would have yielded you more leads to move into the pipeline. So instead of 2,000, you aim for 3,000. It's a numbers game, man. The average size of your deals, the annual revenue growth rate per retained client. Man, if I feel like if you feel like I've went over your head with what I've just talked about it, let me break it down into more simplistic terms. Okay, we're gonna, I have a saying. I covered this in my last podcast. I call it the law of 100. And now, Marquise, what is the law of 100? The law of 100, and this is just based off my experience in the cleaning industry. If I call 100 people, I can get one maybe. If I email market 100 people, I can get one maybe. For every door-to-door flyer I pass out, I can get one maybe. For every advertising piece of mail that I mail out, for every 100, I can get one maybe. So if I know if I do this 100 times, I can get one maybe. If I do it 2,000 times, I know I'll get 20 maybes. So those are 20 possible leads. Now, out of those 20 possible leads, how many do I close? Let's say I close half of them, and that's 10 leads that I've closed in that particular cycle. Okay, now, what's the average closing price of the lead? Meaning, how much is each contract worth when I close the lead? So we'll just say each contract is worth $500. So each contract is worth $500. So that's 5,000 a month that I'm making. But okay, how much did I spend to get that? That's the golden question. What if I spent more than 5,000 to get that 5,000 a month? Is that good or bad? What if I spent, the goal is to spend less, way less. Your goal is to concentrate your forces to your target audience. If you don't know who your target audience is, either look at your current client list or cast your net. Another good way to figure out who your target audience is, Facebook ads and Google ads. Now, how do you determine that? You run a Facebook ad or a Google ad that's offering products and services that you would like to offer, and you cast your net. You're increasing your visibility. Now, everyone that interacts with your advertisement is a potential customer. You can group them into a particular pool. Now, when you group them into a particular pool, you would like to see what do they all have in common. Do they all rank in the same age group? Do they all have the same profession? Do they all what ethnicity are they? These are the questions that you have to ask. And man, I'm so excited to bring this to you, man. Man, I feel like I've talked you guys off so much. So my next one is gonna be a part two. And the part two is gonna cover the 7 levers. Hold on, just one moment, because I wanna get it correct. I want to get it correct. The next my next podcast, because I feel like I've taken too much of your attention already. So I'm gonna leave you with those little bits of nuggets, and I just recommend that you go out and try different leads. So let's just summarize what we went over so far. Whatever way you try to decide to generate a customer, this is what I want you to keep a track of. Go after 2,000 people, because you need a good sample size. And that's with email marketing, that's with mailing out flyers, and that's with door-to-door sales, door-to-door handing out flyers. I want you to aim for 2,000 people for each method or any other method that you can think of. Now, out of those 2,000 people, how many qualified leads did you get? Okay, we'll just say 50. All right, now out of those 50 leads, how many did you close? We'll say 25. Now, out of those 25 leads, what is the average contract? Those are the questions that you should be asking yourself. And the last question is, for those 2,000 people that I've contacted to get these leads, how much did I spend on marketing as opposed to how much I'm getting out of it? You know what you're getting out of it, because you know your average size of contract. But how much did you spend to get that average size of contract? Those are some of the questions that I want to leave that you can ask yourself. And next time it's going to be a part two, the 7 levers of lead generation and marketing planning. Some of the questions I'm going to help you answer is the number and or quality of targets, the number of overall leads, the number of qualified leads, the number of qualified leads converted to clients, revenue per client, revenue retention, growth rate per client. I'm going to go in depth on all of those topics, as well as how to identify them and how to increase. Thank you again for your time and your attention. I'm your host, Joe Daddy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm your host, Marquise Page, the man with the plan, the kid that did. And I thank you. I humbly thank you for the bottom of my heart for tuning in to the real spill of the cleaning business. Thank you and have a blessed day.